Alright, so today I got the platinum on the first Batman game from the Arkham trilogy called Batman Arkham Asylum. I recently asked the community what they wanted to see first this year for platinums, and this one got voted well by the majority. I hate you all. Anyways, this is also a part of a challenge I've been doing trying to platinum over 100 games suggested by viewers of the channel. And if I can't complete all of these before hitting 850,000 subscribers, then I have to shave my head and look like a base character from a video game. So drop a like and subscribe. Anyways, Batman Arkham Asylum was not an easy game, coming in at a solid 6 out of 10 for difficulty on PSN profiles. I also completely suck at Batman games, as we all know from my Batman Arkham Knight video over a year ago. So today was not fun for me or easy by any means at all. But Batman Arkham Asylum has a total of 48 trophies inside and only took me 23 hours to do despite nearly crashing out again. So let's begin with stage 1, which is to beat the story on hard and grab the 2 missable trophies within the game. It first kicks off with a scene showing Batman capturing the Joker once more like he always does and taking him to guess where? Yup, Arkham Asylum. Who would have guessed, seeing as that is the game's title and what it's primarily about. But as usual, the Joker ends up escaping and causing chaos, seeing as that's all he ever does. But this time he had multiple people on the inside and took everyone by surprise, gaining control of Arkham Asylum almost immediately. And we got thrown right into combat with our buttholes exposed to the world outside like an animal. However, right away in this first combat section of the game, I did reach a combo score of 5 for a trophy. Yes, Its Illusion actually managed to land 5 hits without being hit in a Batman game. This has never been done before. I am actually gonna bust. But that was all the fun for a while because I actually struggled in this first combat section. I know, it's very embarrassing and I did die. I am so sorry to my ancestors watching down. I have failed you all. But if one death wasn't sad enough, I died twice and actually rage quit the game only 15 minutes into it. This was a long day, if you can't tell. A very long day. But don't worry, I came back right away after and kept on playing because the community poll results are god around this land and I have to do this. Before continuing, I did also die 2 more times. However, it made that final enemy's death just so much more glorious for my rising heart rate to see and enjoy. So then the game had us kind of just going through the prison section on the island that we were in, fighting enemies when they come up, and also trying our best to save and get the guards out of here since they are not combat ready and most probably worked at a 7-Eleven a few months ago. And one of the guards we would run into was about to be electrocuted to death in the chair by a shirtless inmate here. So being Batman, I just glided down right behind him and tickled his nuts with glory for Gotham, saving the first guard of the game and getting a trophy from it. We then continued on through the place and also ran into one of 2 missable trophies in this game, and it's from saving all of the guards in a room that is being flooded with poisonous gas. Now this is missable because 1, you don't have to save anyone, and also if you take too long, the room will fill and they will die. And I did have to reset checkpoint a few times also because I myself did fall into the gas. We don't talk about it. But the last guard you had to save was actually not a guard and just another shirtless inmate. However, as we know, Batman doesn't kill. Just gives terminal brain injuries, which is probably worse to be honest. But then we ran into the Joker finally, who is, as we all know, Batman's biggest op and the main villain of this game. But instead of fighting us himself, he released the first of sadly many Titan enemies in this game. Now they can't really be fought hand to hand and instead require you to hit them with a batarang as they charge to stun them. And I was very bad at this at first because I suck at the Batman games. But once I did manage to get this mutated Alabama backwater ass defeated, I got a trophy, so that makes me feel a bit better about myself. I'm just kidding. Also, the Joker just kind of got courted away from us into the shadows. That's supposed to be our signature move. Okay, now I'm pissed. But a few minutes later, he then called us on a TV. Jesus, this dude is obsessed with Batman. Are we sure he doesn't just have a big crush on us? Anyways, this is also how the Joker communicates, messes with, and taunts us throughout the rest of the game primarily. We hardly ever actually see him aside from on the TV. But it's for the best. The 2 might fall in love if they are within close proximity of each other. The next trophy I got was then just another combat trophy from getting a 10-hit combo this time. Yup, I'm basically a pro at this game now. Also, this was gotten just in more combat with the inmates inside the prison, seeing as we are still trying to just get out of it while searching for key people inside who are either lost or have been kidnapped by the Joker's goons. Eventually, I had the objective of reaching the surface, so I did that, and we got to see a grand old view of the game's location today. How beautiful, a trophy. So then the game kicks off the openish world for today, and the Batman Arkham Asylum story kind of just had us going back and forth between this island's different buildings, and there really isn't too many of them, which is why this game, in my opinion, is actually a lot of fun aside from it being very hard, because it's actually quite simple and straightforward. You know, there isn't an entire city to get lost in like the other 2 games in the trilogy. Instead, we just get lost in the individual buildings. What a trade-off. And I also kind of just spent my time after being let free to the above ground by frolicking around and fighting people. Really had to let some stress out. It's 2025 now and I'm still bitchless. What is my life? But doing all this fighting got me even better at the game, and I upgraded my combo skills to 20 as a matter of fact for another combat trophy. The story then had us go to the hospital on the island because there was a lot of people in there that needed assistance from none other than Batman himself. And the major thing I had to do here was find and rescue Dr. Kellerman, who was stuck in his office with the outside of the room being completely full of toxic gas. I then had to solve the gas puzzle, of course, which wasn't too hard if I do say so for myself. Upon completing it, I got the trophy from saving Doc himself. We were also here in the hospital searching after Gordon, who is the police commissioner and a very big character in these games and Batman's universe in general, as most of you probably know. And finding him is also the game's entire plot, kind of. Like, we literally search after the dude and try to save him the whole time, all the way up to the final boss fight, which is kind of hilarious. But still in the hospital though, we thought we found him, but it was actually just Scarecrow, and he sent us on a damn trip like he always does in these games. We got sent to the first of many parkour hallucination trips for the day, which had us just trying to move forward and avoid his glaring eyes. Because if he spots us trying to escape the bad trip, he's gonna kill us. This does not seem fair. But at the end of every one of these sections, there is always a Batman light shining bright for all to see, and if you shine it right into Scarecrow's eyes, he both loses vision and we also escape the bad trip. The first time I did that, I also got a trophy because you never forget your first time, no matter how much you want to. Anyways, after that, we continued to track Gordon's tobacco scent from his cigar to find him once more. And right before reaching him, I also found another Riddler trophy, which isn't a huge grind in this game, although there still is over 200 of them. But it was actually enough for a measly 5% completed of them for a trophy, so I'll take it. And then literally right next to the trophy, I dropped down into a room with Gordon and Harley, taking out Harley on the way in. We let Gordon free, but in this same room as us was actually Bane, just completely and utterly juiced out of his mind. This dude has enough roids in him to build muscle for every single fitness influencer out there. And naturally, we had to fight him. Seeing as Bane is a huge enemy, he works just like the Titan enemy does. And I did die a few times against him, I'm not gonna lie, because, well, I'm trash at the game. However, once I finally took down all 3 of his health bars, I got a trophy for beating him like you'd expect and hope for. Bane, by the way, wasn't just on steroids. He also had this toxin inserted into him, which turns people insane and sometimes very big. So it's a lot like expired Viagra. And since Batman is the only one capable of stopping such a problem, we went to the Batcave to cook up a cure or a treatment to it. Yes, there is a Batcave on this island. Bro has these things everywhere, apparently. Anyways, the next trophy I got was again another collectible one regarding the Riddler trophies, so here is that. And my next story goal was to get into the Arkham Mansion because apparently this island has a mansion on it. Why the hell does a prison island have a mansion, you might be asking? I have no clue. I'm also asking why that is. I have no idea. Oh my god! But once I broke into it, I got a trophy because getting inside was a tad bit hard, seeing as the front door was locked. But inside the mansion, there was a ton of fighting against some decently harder enemies, and I almost broke down into tears. I also got lost a lot because the rooms in this place are confusing as a mother flipper. And at one point, Batman also turned back into an adolescent child. Don't ever take the mystery pill, kids. This might happen. And speaking of mystery pills, after our balls dropped again, we got sent to another Scarecrow parkour section. And this one was a bit more complex. You know, that's how most of these work. They get progressively harder. Who would have known? And I failed quite a few times before finishing this section off, I'm not gonna lie. However, I did do it like usual and got another trophy from that. And then a bit later, that same shirtless inmate from the very beginning of the game who tried to kill someone in the electric chair was back. And he was holding a fine lady hostage, so I hit him in the head with a batarang. Take that concussion, bitch, and I'll take this trophy pop. Anyways, much later, I would end up in this room that would become very annoying in the challenge part of this trophy list because if you fight too long here, the floor begins to just shock everyone on it and you die very fast. So this combat section kind of sucked balls, but it was also right next to a bunch of cells that can hold anyone inside. And once I survived the combat, we actually captured Harley Quinn and threw her in a cell. That also gave me a trophy despite her probably breaking out again. This place isn't up to code. The next trophy I got was then from finding 25% of the Riddler trophies in the game, so that's neat. However, the following trophy was not so simple or fun as the previous one, and I had to battle against 2 Titan enemies at once. Truly the forbidden threesome. But anyways, this fight actually could get us 2 trophies. The one from not using any batarangs against a Titan and defeating it. However, I did not see that at this point, so I just fought them both normally. And these things aren't necessarily too hard to defeat, they're more just annoying because the hitboxes of them running into you can be a bit ridiculous sometimes. But once I beat them both, I got a trophy as I have mentioned. The next trophy I got was then from yet again another Scarecrow section, and while I'm editing this video, I have noticed a very blatant pattern regarding this game's story flow. You pretty much just go to every area of this island, fight a few enemies, get lost trying to find the story objective, then get drugged up and go on a trip with Scarecrow. But it's fun, so shit, who cares? And once I beat this Scarecrow section like all the others, I got the trophy. I then made it to the sewers for for the first and final time in this game because it smells down here. And I was searching for spores for research on a cure for the Joker toxin. But seeing as we were in the sewers, Killer Croc was also down here and tried his absolute best to consume us like the snack we are. But I escaped him by just running away. I knew stretching before was a good idea, and here's the trophy from escaping him. I then reached, in my opinion, the hardest part of this entire game's main story. It's one singular combat section in a room surrounded by blocked off doors and elevators. There was only one Titan in here, but every time you knock down one of the thing's health bars, the elevator brings in around 10 to 20 more enemies to fight. It's actually insane how many people they shove into this room, and I spent well over an hour trying to get past this. During my struggle, I did get a trophy though, so it wasn't a total loss of time, except it definitely was a total loss of time. But yeah, as I was saying, I died and spent forever here. Like literally, it took so damn long and I lost it. Rest in peace to the desk, it is now exposed wood. Oh my god! But the controller I have survived, mostly because it's snowing outside and I can't drive my car to get a new one, so I can't smash this one quite yet. But once I made it past that and then outside into the game's atmosphere once more, I actually just paused my game to go cry in a dark corner out of sheer anger and frustration. I don't want to pay my taxes. I then reached the second to last boss fight and section of the game. It's against Poison Ivy, and in a perfect world, me and her settled down and had a family. I beat the balls out of her and killed all of her stupid fucking plants, which gave me a trophy. Let's move on. I then reached the final part of this game, which is a party for Batman set up by the Joker. It's a trap if you can't tell. However, this is also where the final missable trophy of 2 is at. And all you have to do is defeat every single enemy welcoming you into the party like a true party pooper, as they say. It's now the final boss fight of the game against Joker, as you would guess. He also has Gordon captured again and in the electric chair. Not an ideal lounging location. But the Joker also injected himself with this crazy steroid toxin he created, and he is now massive. The fight against him though was kind of lame because we didn't really battle him, instead just his goons, and then did like a grapple on his back to damage him. So that sucks, but after doing it 3 times, you essentially beat him and the game ends kind of suddenly. But that's okay because I then got 3 trophies for finishing off the game and doing it on hard difficulty. And now it's time for stage 2 of this game's platinum, to go get all the collectibles and do anything else that is random in terms of trophies. However, I actually decided to tickle my toes into stage 3 waters and do the challenge mode for quite some time, because I thought that it would be better to get those done with as good as I could, seeing as I just finished the game and still know how to somewhat use Batman's combat and moves. My theory was if I spent 6 hours just chasing collectibles, it would hinder my memory of how to combat. So yeah, I might be a genius. And I got numerous trophies within doing these challenges. Now we'll talk about those in a second, but before going over them, I want to talk about the challenge mode real quick. It features 2 types of challenges inside, both needing to get 3 medals on all of them available. The actual combat one is simply called a combat challenge, and the other one is more of a stealth version called a predator challenge. So half of the YouTube creators out there would excel with this one. But in all seriousness, the predator challenges are not really a challenge. There is 1 or 2 hard objectives on them, but they pale in comparison to the combat challenge difficulty. But the first trophy I got in this mess was from actually finishing a combat challenge without taking any damage at all, becoming the ultimate Batman I was meant to be. The next trophy I got was called Free Flow Bronze from getting 8 total medals on combat challenges, and then on a Predator challenge a few minutes later, I did a miscellaneous trophy from cutting a rope with a strung up enemy to alert another enemy right here. I also then got 8 medals on the Predator challenges following for another trophy, and I finally reached a combo score of 40 for the final combat combo trophy of the game right here. And over an hour later after that one, I got 16 total medals on combat challenges for the second to last combat challenge trophy of the game. Sadly though, that was it for stage 3 for now because I ran out of challenges to do. This is because you actually unlock them from finding collectibles. So I then did begin stage 2 and played for like 5 hours straight chasing down all of these Riddler trophies. And I got 2 of them right here from finding trophies, before doing a side trophy from gliding for over 100 meters in one single glide right here. And my next 3 trophies were then from just me finding the Riddler trophies. Upon my 3rd trophy pop, I actually found them all, which wasn't that bad in my opinion compared to other games' collectibles. But I wasn't quite done with the collectibles because I had to go find some spot in the intensive care place to wrap up a side collectible in the game. And once I found this writing on the floor, I finished that off and we are officially 100% done with this game's collectible trophies. And before heading back to the challenges, I quickly did a side trophy from throwing the remote control batarang back at Batman, and he caught it with pure aura in a trophy pop. So now I just have to complete all of the challenges with 3 medals on each. I also do have 1 or 2 side combat trophies, but we will get to those in the challenge mode, so it's fine. Before going back to the actual combat challenges, I also decided to just finish off the Predator ones since they are extremely easy to do. And I in fact did do them all without much trouble. I did watch a video or two to assist with some of the final ones because they were a bit challenging, but still not too hard overall. I also did a side trophy from finishing a Predator challenge off without using anything aside from the standard silent takedown, and it wasn't that hard. Again, you just have to be stealthy. So now all that remains for the platinum is to get 3 medals on every combat challenge, and I had 3 left that I hadn't yet beaten. Before doing those though, I used every single move Batman had in one combat flow on a combat challenge, which was a trophy and not overly difficult to do again. So anyways, let's lock in because I spent 3 more hours doing these combat challenges, and overall my method of getting these done was to try and just keep the highest combo I could for as long as I could, because that maximizes points, and the higher combo you get, the more points you get per kill, strike, and takedown. But that's much easier said than done, at least for me, since I would constantly lose my combo due to not being fast enough, catching a stray punch, or most annoyingly, attacking an enemy who cannot be normally hit on accident. But if I've learned anything from this platinum and games combat, it's that practice makes perfect, and hours spent on the same challenge eventually do make it easier. Now with that all said, here is the final combat challenge I needed to do with 3 medals complete and that trophy, followed with 100% completion and then the platinum trophy pop. So that was the Batman Arkham Asylum platinum trophy experience. Overall, I think the game is super good and a lot of fun. The combat is as I expected to be challenging, and at one point I actually really hated this game because I was just failing so much. But I've begun to learn how to set aside my anger and still enjoy what is a good game. Rating Batman Arkham Asylum out of 10, I'll give it a solid 7.5. It's not a perfect game, and sometimes Batman's movement pissed me off a bit too much, but it is what it is, as they say. So thank you all for watching, and cheers to 2025. Let's get after it, baby!